when the prospect talks about, oh, we've used other SEO agencies in the past, or we're with one currently, hey, that's perfect. Joey, you like that? Perfect. Here's how we're different. So many people get wrapped up into unique selling propositions, and there's 10,000 freaking agencies that all do SEO. How do you deliver the value is what's unique.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I'm making look easy.
Welcome back, you fellow degenerates. It's Friday, so you know what time it is. If you're watching YouTube, you know I'm not alone. It's time for another episode of the Best Damn Agency Podcast, the only place for unscripted, unfiltered, no bullshit conversation about digital agency stuff, including sales. I forgot what I say right there. It's all right. I am the host of this podcast, JJ Russell, and Joey's with me as always, but we have got a special guest. The guest of all guests. The one that I when I see it on the calendar, my heart just gets all fluttery and happy, and then I get a little bit nervous about what's going to get said. We've got Chris Dreyer of Rankings.io with us.
Let's
What's
go!
up, Chris?
Let's go! Here we go.
Was that you?
That was awful week. That was awful week.
Little beard.
Chris.
Yes, JJ, thank you. Thank you
What's
for
up,
having
man?
me. I'm just living the dream. Love being
Dude,
here.
you were on the show maybe like a year ago, man, and I know because you tell me you're a loyal listener, which I appreciate. Joey and I think there's like 30 people that don't miss an episode, and then we've got some occasional listeners, but I appreciate it, man. It gives me the warm fuzzies.
I think last
best
episode,
kept secret.
Joey basically talked about how women couldn't lead or run for office.
I did say something along the lines of there should never be a woman president, and maybe not even a woman CEO.
Just crickets. Just crickets. Oh, man.
We'll do a
love your
response
guys'
right
show.
now, unprompted. Chris, what do you think about women in office?
I think they,
careful.
on the spot, I think they have the ability to lead. Yeah. I think, why not?
bitch.
Why not?
Your
What
HR
a
person who
bitch.
quit loves you.
Yeah. True.
Oh, man. Well, hey, thank you again for joining us. So, Chris, real quick, for anybody that's not familiar with you, give a quick intro, who you are, what your agency does.
Chris Dreyer. I'm the CEO of Rankings. We've been in business for about 10 years. We are an 8-figure digital agency that specializes on digital marketing for lawyers.
Bang. A rapidly
Yeah, you do.
ascending 8-figure agency.
Yeah, going quick. Inc.
5,000?
5,000
Six
6
times?
years in a row.
Jeez.
That's
For people who
banging.
don't know, like, what are the
Yeah.
criteria for Inc. 5000 exactly?
I think you have to have at least $1 million in revenue, and then you have to grow, I believe it's like 20-30% per year, but it's like, I think like over 100% for a 3-year period. I'm not sure the criteria, but it's based upon the averages. So
Right.
you got to be one of the higher. And fortunately, we've been able to do it and just keep pushing.
Which is impressive to
I
grow
foresee
20-30% at that size.
Yeah.
Year over year. Love it. I anticipate the banter on this particular episode being next level, but I've got a sales
gosh.
question before we get into anything.
Uh-oh.
So we were slacking, Chris, and you said, I've got 5 salespeople and I'm going to how many?
So I have, Joey's always, by the way, Joey has been in my ear for the last like 3 years telling me I need to expand my sales team. And he's been 100% right this whole time, and I've just been ignoring him, being dumb about it, honestly.
There's 2 types of people in this world. People who
I-
listen to me and I'm proven right, or people who don't listen to me and I'm proven right by you being wrong.
I think, so
I'm
here's
kidding.
what's happened. Yeah, no, you're dead on because you've witnessed a lot more. You've built more agency sales forces. You've been around them. When I looked at this, and this is like limiting beliefs, right? I have 1 AE. We're getting 20 inbound leads. I've got a capacity, if you do a 5 consult per day, of 100 for this one rep. How can I expand my sales force? I don't have enough leads. And the interesting thing about that is if you do hire another sales rep, it kind of forces you or them to fill their pipeline. And also, if you take away leads from your AE, and I don't want to limit my AE's revenue potential. I only want them to increase if they're doing great work. It makes them do better follow-up. It forces them to get more creative in nurturing their pipeline. So it has a lot of these benefits, and I had always been anti-outbound, and I've always looked at inbound. Yeah, they're way easier to close. It's way easier. The thing that happened when I did my first round of outsourcing, I just talked about this, is it kind of accelerated the issues. My offer sucked. My sales process sucked. It might have taken me another year or two to learn that, but because they were just blasting and getting me all these appointments, I had to fix it, and I learned quickly what was wrong. I mean, it's still not perfect, but I discovered those issues a lot more quickly. So super long-winded answer to that, JJ.
You're going to how many sales reps, though?
So we've got 2 closers, and we're going to have at least 10, but maybe 12 SDRs.
Damn!
It's insane.
Going to the moon, baby. That's awesome.
Love it.
That's
Let's
awesome.
do it.
All right, so we'll talk more about sales stuff and sales teams later. Chris and Joey, you've been around for this. Chris and I have this interesting song and dance that we do. We do it about every 6 months, give or take. When I tell you where we're going to do our next retreat and how awesome it's going to be, and then your response back to me every time is, damn, man, I can't make it. There's no way I can do this to my wife again. I've been traveling a lot. My schedule's crazy. I'd love to be there. Can't do it. And then every time, inevitably, Captain Chris shows up at the event. So this was the one. So we were prepping for Palm Springs. We've promoted it on the show a lot. We'll be there in November, doing all the planning and stuff, and I hit you up, hey man, you're gonna be able to make this one. And this is the first time where I'm like, hey, Chris is serious about this one. Like there's no chance he's gonna make it. And then you out of the blue I get a GIF that just says Palm Springs, all caps. Captain Chris is gonna be there with the pirate flag. So there's a story behind this that you wanted to tell me, and I've not heard it yet because I wanted to save it for this interview. How did you convince your wife that you're gonna be in Palm Springs?
I am not an expert communicator with my wife. Let's be clear here. I have to pick my battles. If she's happy, she's in a better mood. I'm not going to break up like, hey, I'm going with the boys, even if it is a business retreat, and I'm going to learn and connect with amazing individuals. What did happen was we were having a great time out. We were with friends, and I said, I've got a lot of great local acquaintances here, and I have some friends, but in general, more acquaintances, and it's not amazing people, but we're talking more about local things, drinking, partying, family, and we're not talking business, and business is the game, is my game. Like I was joking, holding up this deer hunting magazine because I'm not a deer hunter, and somehow it got mailed here, but I thought it was appropriate now that I'm drinking Stag, and I love the conversations we get into, and we all connect. We have the same challenges. And I told my wife how much I enjoyed the masterminds. And she goes, oh, I love that you get to have those conversations with your friends and do those. Those are so great for you. I saved that energy for 2 days, and then I came to her with Palm Springs, and she had already committed to saying that was good for me. So there you are.
Strategy.
Micro commitment.
You got the yes on the principle. You believe in this, right? Without any specific action item.
It's pretty amazing.
Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait for you to be there. It's going to be awesome.
I can't wait. Scott Scully.
Oh, man. Okay. Joey,
I'm sitting right next to him.
Who
Yeah,
is?
Is it Scott? Tell
Scott
Scott
Scully.
to just save a seat right next to me.
He will.
Chris is going to have a little rickshaw that he just carries Scott Scully around in all week while he whispers sweet nothings into your ear.
Hey, Scott.
Joey, last night, you'd appreciate this. Abigail and I sat down, and we were going to watch some show. We hadn't, it was one of these mindless, let's just pick a show. I'm like,
Yep.
all right, what happy medium can I find? Because both of us were just smoked from the day. It's 9 o'clock. Our kids have been rowdy. But I want to talk about something significant. So I threw on, I'm like, hey, babe, check this podcast out. So I threw on Rogan, and I can't remember who it is. It's like an artist, reporter guy who spent weeks in the African Congo with this tribe that hunts baboons.
Stephen
Something
Chu.
Chow.
He's
Chu.
the Asian. Yep.
Okay. Chris, have you seen this interview?
He went out there and didn't know how he was going to survive, right? Is it that guy?
He lived in a cave with like isolated African tribe that
Indigenous
only
people.
hunts baboons. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty badass.
All right. So here's what I want to talk about. So the takeaway from my wife's like, this is crazy. She's like, babe, what is? So I kept trying to turn it off because he was talking about how it was super gory and bloody and crazy and all this stuff. And I'm like, babe, we can turn this off. And she's like, no, this is really fascinating. But the whole point he was making was we don't even know how soft we are. We have no idea.
Yep.
Like, we wake up and everything about our first world modernized society has been built to make our lives as comfortable and easy as possible. We have air conditioning, we have grocery stores, we have food that we can make in the refrigerator, all this stuff. Like, I think that I'm doing good when I wake up early in the morning and go do a workout for 7 days in a row that's super hard. Like, that's me being hard. But these motherfuckers are out there in loincloth with spears hunting baboons, and the only way they eat is if they kill one of those jokers.
Yeah,
So-
and those things can legitimately tear them in half.
So is there anything, well, one, if you have any thoughts on, like, we are just really soft and it's crazy how diverged we are from our primal roots, Joey, I'd be interested to hear about that. But two, like, is there anything that we can do to recapture that, or is it just lost forever?
Yeah.
Are you asking me?
I'm
Or are you
asking Joey first.
Yeah, let's
So-
get Joey better answer this.
Well, let me tell you, this is the funniest part is my wife and I are going to San Diego in like 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm literally paying $600 more per night to get a house that has air conditioning in it.
That's stupid.
And it has 2 king beds because I like to sleep separate from my wife because I'm weird. So I'm going to go spend like a ridiculous amount more just because I have cold air blowing in the house. So yeah, we're softer for sure. So what was the question basically like, what can we do about it? Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of comes back to like we have optimized for comfort. And so I think that for a lot of us, we and I talked about this maybe a couple episodes ago, where I talked about like we choose life through the lens of what makes us happy and comfortable in the moment, as opposed to what makes us proud. And so I think that we have lost. All right, conspiracy theory.
Oh, these are my favorite kind.
Okay, I think that the globalist agenda is to absolutely, I don't know if it's emasculate or demasculate. It's to basically.
I think it's emasculate. I think you didn't say any of them right.
Anyways, take away masculinity. Basically, the agenda is to get rid of masculinity because masculinity, if you think about it, man has led the charge for all movements for the most part. Even like Rosa Parks, we thought led a movement. No, it was planned by a group of dudes who strategically used a woman on a bus. That was all planned. It was also, I believe, the CIA was involved in that. Just want to throw that out there. But I do think that there is an agenda to rid the world of masculinity because without masculinity, there is not like strength and power. When where things are not strong and powerful, there is weakness and division. And when there's weakness and division, there is no ability to rise up against a greater power. And so that's my conspiracy theory. It's probably not conspiracy. It's just true, as are most conspiracies.
When
But
you
I
say
don't know.
stuff like that Rosa Parks thing, that's where our YouTube viewers just like drop off on the little like
Dude,
tiered.
they go straight up. It goes straight up. They tell their friends.
You got to hear
Yeah.
what this guy's got to say about Rosa Parks, this motherfucker. Let's cancel him.
I'm serious, though, dude. Rosa Parks was legitimately a plant.
That's going to be
This
the name
one's
of this
getting
episode, 1,000%.
The
All right, Chris, what do you have to say about Rosa Parks or the monkey hunting tribe?
I'm gonna go different. So the whole thing, like, it's weird because for me, like, look, I'm definitely soft. I'm overweight, in the air condition. I don't exercise enough, and I'm got a performance coach, and I'm trying to make adjustments there. I don't push myself into that hard area, the area of being uncomfortable, just being transparent. On the flip side, on business, I do it every single day, and I push and just break things like crazy. I don't know what it is. And I'm okay with being uncomfortable. Like, I'd never built a sales team, but here I am, and it's just, I continue to try. So I don't know what the switch in the head is, but I think that we're all, it's easy to go to homeostasis and just chill, but
I've got. Oh,
I
you
love
go ahead,
that word, homeostasis. I forgot where the damn podcast was, but he was talking about he hates this whole, dude, how many cans are we going to fucking crack? You doing this
Which one should I drink?
Oh, gosh. Bud Light. That's actually pretty amazing. It's also hilarious you have one in your house. I heard someone else say it the other day where he said, I hate that word homeostasis because it's actually not helpful for mankind. It's like we actually develop and evolve through hardship, or else there's no reason to evolve. And so homeostasis is not necessarily a place where you want externally to exist, right? You don't want to exist in a very comfortable place. Internally, if we talk about chemical levels and hormone levels, and you want your internal to be most optimal at homeostasis, but externally, not really. And so I love that you said that word, because I think it is a farce, that the goal is to find this place of homeostasis, ultimate Zen peace. It doesn't exist.
Here's my take on that, is we have way too much fucking time to sit around and talk about this shit, right? Even the fact that we're talking about Zen and homeostasis and
versus baboon hunting.
Yeah, dude, that's what he said. So it's, I just had it pulled up. His last name is Chu, and it's David Chu.
David Chu.
He said, he's like, dude, after 5 days of being out there, I had no cell service. I had no contact with the outside world. I was following these dudes around. They were running 6 hours a day, and I'm limping behind them. He said one guy was running and rolling joints and smoking them at the same time, beckoning for him to keep up, He's like, dude, it all faded away.
Yeah.
And I was more at peace than I've ever been. But he was talking about these men who wake up every day and their only sense of purpose is, I am going to be the one that tracks down this baboon and kills his ass. I'm going to bring the biggest animal that I can back to the camp, and that's what they just set their mind on, that, and they compete on that, and they bring it back, and if they don't kill anything, they don't eat. And then they eat it, they have a party every night. They kill an animal, they eat it, they have a party, they fall asleep, they wake up, and they do it again. Life is just so much more simple and straightforward, and our brains are overloaded with
stimulus.
A thousand other things.
Did you guys watch the Arnold?
About it? Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and then Joey, then I'll pass the baton. Did you guys watch the Arnold documentary on Netflix?
No,
one of the things that he talked about is people are always asking him about stress and anxiety and depression, and he just said that he had this philosophy of just get to work and get moving. There's no time to just think, am I depressed? It's go be productive.
Yep, Andrew Tate says that too, which whether you like him or not, I think he's got a lot of wisdom, and he talks about depressed is a state of mind or a choice oftentimes, and it's not to say that there isn't PTSD and things like that, but Mike Tyson actually talks about his best days of his life were when he was in prison, when he had no distractions, which is really interesting, just a thought experiment of what would it be like to not have all these things, and that's kind of what David Chu's talking about. Jay, talk about I know you mentioned it in one of the episodes. It might have been one of the first ones, but what's Misogi again? How do you define Misogi?
Yeah, so Misogi is, it used to be a Japanese purification ritual, but it's basically this idea of expanding your understanding of what you are personally capable of by pressing your limits so far that you do something that you literally didn't know or think that you could do. But you have to pick a challenge, a physical challenge, that has a presumed 50% rate of failure where you cannot die, and then you go do this thing. And the idea being, if you complete this thing, like running for 48 hours straight or pushing a boulder across the bottom of the ocean or just something crazy, when you get done with it, you're like, oh my gosh, I am significantly more capable, even in my mind, than I thought I was. That's Misogi.
Yep.
You're going to do one.
I am. I'm nervous about the one you gave me. So I told JJ, JJ likes to think all this stupid shit all the time. I want to go throw a spear through hay and run through mud. It's all right, cool, dude. So all right, create my Misogi. And so I know one of the rules of Misogi is not to talk about it, so I won't promote all the things. But when he ended up telling me, he's like, go find the hardest hike that you possibly can. Do it with a rucksack. What, a 50-pound rucksack? 50-pound rucksack. And then when you get to the top, do 1,000 thrusters. And then descend that hardest hike. In my mind, I was like,
What's
that
a
sounds
thruster?
fun. A thruster
It's
is
like
where
a
you
squat, and then you press the thing over your head.
So basically take a 50-pound bag, a rucksack, and do a full squat, and then on your press up, you end up pushing it above your head. So basically you're doing like a shoulder press and a squat in one. And when he said it, I was like legit like, fuck, that sounds stupid. But the whole point is like, I literally don't think I can do it right now. Like it would be such a challenge to do it. And then when I was like, all right, now pick the hike in the Smokies, the hardest hike you can possibly find. He literally picked one that has like a 600-foot elevation climb every mile, and there's no view. So you get to the top of this long ass hike, and you're like, well, at least I can do thrusters with a view. It's like, no, you're fucking sitting with just more trees around you
In the woods.
There's literally no victory outside of I just did something I had a high chance, a 50-50 shot of not doing.
Yeah,
I kind of like it. I
Sherpa
like the
for
idea
me.
of it.
Chris, if you would like me to build your Misogi, I can do that for you too.
That sounds
Hey, one thing that you said,
horrible.
man, that I loved is you mentioned like how you've got that drive for business. And earlier on when you were talking about your sales team, you were like, hey, by blowing this shit up, I actually was forced into building and realizing all these things, discovering all these things. I think, like the advice, like the not financial advice, right? The not business advice for everybody out there is if you don't have a mindset like that, if the game for you is not business and you blow all your shit up, that is not going to bid well for you. But if you think like Chris or you think like Joey and you're the person that is dogmatically pursuing is not going to fail in business, then it's going to help you. But you've got to have that mindset or you're going to just put yourself in a gutter that you can't get out of. So that's cool, man. I love that those two things are tied together for you. All right, last thing, a little bit of a elongated banter here. It's funny how we talk about mindset so much. It's like it is at the foundation of everything that we're doing when it comes to sales or building businesses. Your mind is everything. We talk about this in the mastermind. It's a question that we've used before. I'll come to you first, Chris. You might have already answered this, but I'd be interested to hear if there's a nuance to it. What is an area that you are gaining ground in, and what's an area that you're losing ground in? So an area that you're taking ground, meaning you're growing, you're storming the hill, and then one where you feel like you're slipping.
On business or both personal and everything?
I'll let you interpret it, man. Whatever you.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do everything.
For me, gaining ground, building out the sales force in our agency, we barely cracked that 8-figure mark, and we're bulldozing through that and gonna have our best year. Next year be the best year after that. I can just see it. Like it's very, very visual. Like I can just see it. It's right there. The thing that I'm gaining, losing ground in is recently diet. Jeez, like today, I'm gonna legit. I'll be vulnerable here and transparent. Like I had Inside Tracker was supposed to come take my blood, and they no showed. And I had fasted, and I'm in hangry mode, and I'm like, fuck those guys. And then I order Taco Bell. That's the wrong solution. But had the guy came and took my blood, I've got the keto meals in the fridge, and it's that was a moment of weakness, right? That short-term orientation and continuing to do that. What are the long-term effects? Well, the long-term effects are I'm 285 freaking pounds, and I need to be 220.
Dude, you're a good-looking 285, though. For those who don't know.
Thanks, buddy.
That's good.
Yeah, and endless.
Did you ever listen to the episode where Joey and I talked about his Chiking sandwich? Joey was on a diet, and he was
For a day
about all of the ways that he was failing and all the things, and he's like, I just went to the store and got a fucking Chiking sandwich. I'm like, what's a Chiking sandwich? The minute he said Chiking sandwich, I lost it on camera with him, and I'm just crying.
It's like Burger King's chicken sandwich. It's fucking delicious.
Joey, gain ground, lose ground.
I think I'm gaining ground in my mindset. I feel like I have a not like a like I can't lose mindset. Not so much that as much as just like there's nothing that I can't go do. A mindset that like knows I can do anything, and that knows that I can take the L's along the way. Like I think that's the biggest difference. Is I maybe used to have like a bulletproof. Even like last year, I would have been like, oh, I can fucking scale whatever I want. I can build this thing, and then like it hit me in the face, and then took some big L's. And then now that I've like walked through the L's and like now we're going way back up, I kind of have this new mindset of like, yeah, I can do anything, and I can also face all the challenges that maybe I had never faced before, and so I know that I can walk through those. That's probably one, and I'd say losing ground's probably very similar to Chris. I would say there's two areas being vulnerable as well. One is navigating my relationship with my wife. So really, for us, like we've been married about 10 years. You're 10 years now, aren't you, JJ? You just hit 10 years in August.
I will be 10 years in August, which is not yet.
Oh, yeah. I guess we are in July. At the time of this publishing, you have been 10 years. But, yeah, I would say you hit the 10-year, and there's like this, you get so focused on the kid and the kids that you kind of like lose touch with the wife. And so that's one area that I would say I'm not still losing ground, but I have been historically the past year or so. And then I would say diet as well has been a big one for me. So I actually just spent a bunch of money on both an integrative medicine coach and on now a new fitness coach as of yesterday.
Integrative medicine coach will be in Palm Springs.
He will. He's badass. I actually talked to him yesterday. He's
super cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, man. I'll answer my own question. So I'll break it into like my day. So I feel like the way that this I thought that this is I'm gaining ground before 9 o'clock.
You do like crush before
everything
9.
Everything I'm doing up until 9, I've got a ton of discipline, a ton of goals, a ton of process, and I get it done. And I've been doing it for I don't know, probably 2 months pretty consistently.
Love it.
Community, family time, meditation, workout, fitness, all the stuff. I'm doing all those things. But then at 9 o'clock, and what's funny is the business is actually doing well, and like I'm doing a lot of the right things, but my focus on those things and how I'm executing them and how I plan my day and really just the discipline and the strategy is not there. So it's nice. It's nice to be losing ground and still like having some business success, but it's got to change. So
heck yeah, dude.
That's me. All right, real quick. Speaking of Palm Springs, so I've been trying to make these pitches shorter because every time I listen to our podcast and then we get to the pitch for the mastermind, I'm like, fuck, I got to fast forward like 2.5 minutes right now. So a 60-second pitch that I would typically do, but I'm going to put Chris Dreyer on the spot. I wouldn't do this to anybody else.
Oh, boy.
I would not do this. But you've been there since day one, and you are a good friend. Just why should somebody consider going to Palm Springs? Palm Springs.
All right, this is going to be a weak one. All right, if you are an agency owner and you are an executor, you're not a ruminator. You're not the guy that sits in the corner and just thinks and has all these great plans, but wants to actually improve your agency and talk to like-minded individuals that also want to grow their agency and have a great time and meet people that have grown their agency beyond what yours is, then come to Palm Springs. Palm Springs is in, JJ, when is it?
November 7th through 10th.
And go to bestdamnagency.com/
Nope.
Palm Springs?
Not quite.
Close. All right, so delete that out of your browser and go to bestdamnmastermind.com/retreats, and you can get information right there. Thanks, Chris. That was great, man.
That was better than mine. Mine is usually like 6 minutes long. I actually find myself skipping through my own. Like, dude, this guy fucking sucks.
What'll be really interesting is, like on our YouTube channel, Chris, I went and I grabbed a bunch of our old stuff. I grabbed like some shorts that did really well for Joey, and I'm going to start kind of like slowly seeding them in there. But there's these ones like, what Joey said, this guy sucks. There's the one about 95% of people suck that Joey did like 3 months ago, or no, it was like 6 months ago, and it got 30,000 impressions. Mm-hmm. But of the 40 or 60 comments, something like that, half of them were people were like, no wonder this guy has no employees.
This guy, I bet this guy has no employees, or it was like there are some funny ones that were like, well, now I know who I'm not going to work for, and I'm like,
Yeah.
like that hurts my
You're right.
feelings.
You're right. You're not going to work here. All right. So 2 weeks ago, I teased out this idea, and we actually didn't hit on it. So when we interviewed Skylar, I kind of lost track of it completely. We were doing like little buckets of concepts. You might have already listened to this episode, Chris. One was Joey's greatest hits, and then there was something else. But I teased this idea of how to build a badass blank, right? So just talking through how to build a badass and then some piece of a business or a sales operation. So
Sex life.
with you guys on the call, yeah, you want to talk about that, Joey? Go ahead.
I'm good. You gotta have. Never mind.
Okay,
That's
thanks.
very inappropriate.
With you guys specifically on the call, where I want to start, and we'll try to keep these individual siloed conversations to like 3 minutes. So I'll let you guys kind of back and forth it. Joey typically can say anything immediately, and then so maybe he kicks these off. He just has a thought immediately for everything. First one is how to build a badass offer.
Read Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers. It's pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. I typically wouldn't say a book, but it's really good. It helps you at least, even if you don't use his formula, it's how you think through different aspects of an offer is really good. But I would say outside of that, I have historically created very good offers off of intuition, but intuition has been created through me just having a deep experience of who I serve. So I'd say it starts with knowing exactly who you work with, who you serve, what do they want. And if you don't know that, then it's almost impossible to create an amazing offer if you don't know who you sell to, like at a deep level, because everything's gonna be based off assumptions. And the second is, I think, just getting extreme exposure to that market. Because the hard thing about offers is, even though I make good ones, I make better ones later that are better than the ones I made before. And so that's been a challenge in some areas. It's been a blessing in others. But I think that it's easy to, if you get so close to the market and you understand the people, it's easy to think of what's the next layer to this, of how do I make it either faster to the result, how do I get them everything that they want, right? Pricing model at a particular level that, I look at pricing in 3 different categories. There's cost plus, which is more like hourly based. There's value based, which all of us know, and there's utility based, which is, hey, what else would they have to spend money on to get the same outcome, and are we cheaper than that? And so I think it's looking at all those different factors, but the answer no one wants to hear is intuitively you get there by knowing who you serve and actually doing it for a while until you realize the holes and gaps and opportunities.
Yeah, you've iterated very well. I feel like that's been something that I've seen in the last 2.5 years. Is every offer that we have built, minus one that I can think of, has sold, and then we've learned and iterated. Chris, earlier, you said you're like, my offer sucked. I didn't know it, right? But that's that's an exaggeration, because you have been like a premier.
I was selling a commodity.
Yeah, but go ahead. So, what did you learn through that process? And then, more general question: how do you build a badass offer?
This is so critical. You have to be able to provide value in order to get paid. So it starts there. So the more value you can create, the better your offer is going to be. What I did and what many people do, and I've heard Joey talk about this in a different manner, is I was creating a product for the average, the customer.
Yep.
Across all industries, I'm selling SEO. But I wasn't creating it for my client or my vertical, PI. And so many people get wrapped up into unique selling propositions, and there's 10,000 freaking agencies that all do SEO, right? I'm an SEO agency. And I heard Todd Duffy, I think that's his name, talk about this. So talking about not a unique selling proposition, but a unique mechanism. How do you deliver the value is what's unique. So for example, for us, we're taking a different approach. I talked to Ryan Stewart a little bit about this, and actually I got the idea originally from Ryan, so shout out to Ryan. Most agencies will take like a top-down approach. They'll start at the top of the funnel, they go to the middle funnel, and then they get to those service pages. But this is how we're different. We take a bottom-up approach. we're going to front load all your practice area pages, all your service pages. We're going to drive immediate value because people convert on transaction pages. They don't convert at the top of the funnel in these investigative queries. So we start at the bottom and then we move up to support those pages. It's a method of delivering it different. It's how we're different than the other agencies when we're talking about SEO. Is how we deliver it. And once that kind of clicked, it's when the prospect talks about, oh, we've used other SEO agencies in the past, or we're with one currently. Hey, that's perfect. Joey, you like that? Perfect. Here's how we're different.
That's really good, man. Hormozi, we've talked about him a lot, but he talks about product is king, right? And so I think he gave the example recently of you could spend 2 years writing a book that somebody will spend the rest of their life selling for you, or you could spend 6 months writing a book that you've got to spend the rest of your life selling. Is that, as you've refined the offer, have you seen that effect too? I know we talk a lot about outbound sales, but I would assume with how well you guys serve your customers that you get a lot of referred business.
We get a lot of referred business. Our through rate from the moment they contact us to conversion has historically been 12 to 13%. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know. This year, it's around 20%. So now 1 out of 5, we're converting. Our historical proposals close has been in that 30 to 35 range. This year, it's 53. So maybe there are some factors that goes into that, but I have to think that our offer is better, and that's contributing a lot to it.
Yep.
It's really good. Joey, anything to add?
No, I think it's perfect. I typically would add something, and it would detract, so I will let it sit there.
Okay, that's great. That's great. All right, coming back to you then, Joey, and I think it's interesting. You guys both approach this different ways, and I think, Chris, you've prioritized this more until recently, and Joey's really kind of stepped it up in this area. So how to build a badass, and I'm going to put this into kind of a split category, personal brand / reputation in your space.
Oh, yeah, I would not say I'm excellent at this. For my approach is very different. I am a polarizing individual. I will always be a polarizing individual. I don't give a shit about whose feelings I hurt because we're all just playing this stupid game called business. And so for me, and I also think the world is majority retarded. Like most people are just inept, and I'm okay saying that because it's factual. Oh man, that's me just bringing out the brand itself. And I think the people are attracted. Assuming you have good things to say, people are attracted to people who have a backbone and a conviction, and they live by a code of some sort. Whether you agree with that code or not, you are attracted to it like a bug to one of those zapper lights or whatever you call them. And so I think that's important that you have to first and foremost develop a conviction, a code, a spine about yourself on what you believe, and that when you speak those beliefs into the world and people sense that you live by a code, there's something to conviction that people are attracted to, even if people don't have conviction themselves. I think it's innate in us. I think it's a natural desire for us. It's built into our DNA. To live by a code or a standard. And I think that a lot of people are depressed or they're anxious or they're not where they want to be in life because they have fallen away from that natural inclination to want to have a code or a standard. So therefore, if you have one, people come to you.
You said you have to have good things to say. And that's one thing that I am consistently reminded of and then for some reason surprised by is like how you're just like crazy smart, right? Like you just remember a shit ton of stuff. So today, what was the thing on the call that nobody remembered that you were like, you guys suck? What was the one line?
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, automation creates commoditization. I was like, someone surely has heard me say that 1,000 times, but no.
Dude, we all have, but nobody remembers that shit. You remember all of that stuff. You remember all the little taglines and pitches and all those things. And so you've always got good stuff to say.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I've met a few people. I've met a few people that have really good recall. I'm one of them. Hormozi's one of them. A buddy of mine, Taylor Welch, is one of them. Chris, you have good recall too. It's like recall is a gift in and of itself, but you have to consume for recall to be leveraged and used. And so because I consume a lot, and I do have systems for how I remember things or document things or stay on top of things. And so that helps. But I think that I'm certainly gifted recall. I just have to kind of put gas in that.
All right, Chris, I'll come to you next. How to build a badass personal brand or reputation in your space.
I'm not the best at this either. Personal brand, I would say, speaking of what's helped me personally, is the podcast, and not from marketing, create all this social media, more as like a feedback loop.
Okay.
I get to truly understand who my client is and their pains and their struggles, and I get to learn about them very deeply, and I can speak to them on that higher level. I would say that has been immensely valuable. There are things, I can't remember where I got this, but if I say I'm the best SEO, that carries some weight, right? I'm making that claim. If you say Chris is the best SEO, that carries more weight. If then a very accredited association and some lofty award says it, then that carries even more weight. So as much as I don't like playing the PR game, I think it does help from a social proof and reputation standpoint, trust standpoint.
Even the way that
put
you've
money behind it.
branded, yeah, that's true too. Even the way you've branded the Personal Injury Mastermind, am I right? Is it the name? Mm-hmm. I think that's brilliant, man. It's like is that the name of the podcast right now?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So even the podcast carries like clout in the name and the designation, which for the guys too that you're targeting or gals, I feel like there's a reputation status thing with the legal industry too. But you just branded it really well.
Thank you.
Cool. So you've approached it via the podcast. Joey's just got firm convictions and is a man of principle and polarity. Principle and polarity. There's some IP. I can write a book. I can do stuff too, Joey.
You got a personal brand now, bro.
That's it. All right, last one here. I had a few I could cherry pick from, but I like this one, and it's going to be a little bit of a broader bucket, and I'll just kind of let you guys play inside of that however you want to. So, how to build a badass lead gen engine for your business, Joey.
Well, mine comes from outbound, so it's going to be different than a typical person who is driving inbound like Chris does. Honestly, it's a combination of the right message, the right strategy, the right person. That's really it. And so it's the channels on which I go to those people with that message is really what the strategy is. And so how do I do it? I mean, right now it's having highly segmented data that allows me to call people who answer the phone. It's building out an email machine that allows us to do email at scale without hitting canned spam issues, and not calling people, right? Because it's something that Ryan and I talk a lot about, or have talked a lot about recently. It's just like there is a cost for every dial that your sales team, that your phone sales team makes. And so whether that dial connects or it doesn't, you paid for it. And so minimizing those that you call that don't answer is incredibly important from just a sheer cost per conversation or cost per conversion. And so for me, how I build lead gen is I have the right message. I put them on the right channels to reach the right people, and I optimize that message with data. And so that might mean phone, email, and social, and just doing that sequentially and in a process and having good data. It's not very sexy.
Love it. No, but it's effective. Not sexy, but
It is.
effective. That's like me in the bedroom. All right, Chris, to you.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to take a different approach here. Like, to me, a lead gen engine comes to allocating capital.
Okay.
And in capital allocation. So in the beginning, our agency's making $100,000, $500,000. We can't spend very much to obtain leads.
Yeah.
Whether that's SEO or social or SDRs, we just don't have the money, right? Most of us aren't going out and getting private equity.
Yep.
So when we're bootstrapping, the lead gen engine comes over time through cash flow and proper business practices where you can dump more money into it and it kind of compounds. So that's what I found. It's like I can spend $10,000 on a Facebook ad campaign and it can have the best strategy, or I can spend $200,000 on a Facebook ad campaign with a garbage strategy and I'm going to reach way more people. So that's what I think of.
Love him or hate him, Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels. He says, he who can, I don't know, maybe he stole it from someone, but he who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins.
Dead on.
Truth.
That is very true. And that's something I've learned even just with hanging out a lot more with Scott Scully at Abstracts. It's just like the dude pumps money into growth. And so his strategy is, I'm going to spend my way to growth. And I freaking love it because it's been part of me like, oh, I just need to put more in. Now, I'm not running an $80 million, $100 million a year in revenue agency like he is, but I've got cash and I can pump it into it. And that's been something I've been realizing even in my investment strategies is I can put money into real estate or I can put money into sales. And I know sales better than anyone else that I know. And so if I can do that, I don't know real estate as, I know it pretty well, but I don't know it as well as someone who does it full time. And it's not my business. It's an investment vehicle, but putting money into the things that I know I have the most control over and I know better than most people is a very wise investment. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Can I jam on this? Just another thing?
Yeah.
It's like so many of us, you have this employee, you have this orange, and we're trying to squeeze more juice out of it. Using what Joey likes to say, hey, Bubba, why don't you get some more fruit? Want some more juice? Get some more fruit.
That's good.
I do. That was a pretty good impression.
Hey, Bubba.
Hey, Bubba. I'm going to need you to fire that person.
Gabriel's going to think that his name is Bubba when he's like 10.
I literally call him that all the time.
I know.
Yep.
It's great. It's great. All right, we're running out of time. Joey's got to go close a deal. If you had to start your business over, same business, same offer, same audience, same offer, what are two things that you would absolutely do different than you did from the initial onset?
Chris, you have an answer? Or you want to go?
You go. I don't.
I would say. I might give 3 answers. Cheat. I would say no to a lot more things. So one thing I've been very impressed with myself recently, not like actual like impressed, but just like, I'm growing in this area. Is like I have really good. I've had 3 people offer me equity just to be an advisor in the past month. And I said no to all of them because it takes even just an hour of my month. I'm just like, it's not worth it to me, dude. It's not worth it. And so saying no, I would say no a lot more. 2, because I do know sales better than most people, I would just out the gate, I would close, but I would build out my lead gen a lot sooner. And then 3, I would not have, I would probably trust myself more and give away equity and not give away equity to operations partners. I've done that poorly now, technically 3 times, but in recent years, 2 times. And that's slowed me down, caused issues, et cetera. Whether it's their fault or mine doesn't really matter, but I would just do that very differently.
It's good.
I just thought, like, for me, and it's going to sound, look, we talk about this a lot. I wouldn't have given away geographic exclusivity to anyone. It's such an issue later because as business owners, we don't understand the opportunity cost that goes into giving that away and the struggles to get out of that based upon the conversation or just your reputation risk of doing things like that. And I would have valued exclusivity significantly more than what I did.
That's really good. Yeah, we make decisions now that we don't think that the $10 million version of us is going to feel. Because imagine crushing it for a client in a particular. I know you do this. You see this where it's like, hey, I sold you this exclusivity deal, And I've had to say no to 3 amazing other deals close to your market, that would have made me 5 times as much as what I'm currently making off of you.
It's good. It's good. Well, when you sell this one and then you start over, both you guys can remember those things. I'll send you this episode. Don't worry.
Probably not going to build another fucking agency.
We'll start a sports complex.
Dude, seriously, just pickleball emporium.
That's it. I'm in. Chris, you are the best I know at personal injury SEO, but you are also a business, you're a business savant, man. You know a lot about business. Where can people find your stuff if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm most active on LinkedIn. If you want to go there, just search Chris Dreyer. It's Dreyer.
And you got a book,
then,
man. Promo the book.
Yeah. Niching up. Really awkwardly grab this over my left shoulder. Yeah, so niching up. If you guys are interested in focus, specialization, becoming the best in your industry or vertical, check it out. Could definitely help out.
Sick.
It's a good read. It's a good read written by a smart man with good looks. So I appreciate that. To those of you listening, appreciate you. Thanks again for your time and attention. Rate, review, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. If you have not, you can see Chris's magazine that he was talking about earlier in this episode. And we'll see you back here next week. Chris, we're going to have to make this a regular thing, man. I love having you on the show.
Love it.
And
Love
we'll
it.
find the
Love
time to
to.
get you back out here. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Cheers, fellas.
Peace.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, maybe.